This is The Sound of Small Business, brought to you by RBC Royal Bank. I'm JP Davidson, and these are the inspiring stories and hard-earned lessons of successful Canadian entrepreneurs. This is the sound of an ATV, or quad bike. It's revving up in front of a long trench full of mud. Oh, and the woman riding it is wearing a white wedding dress.
She took off her beautiful shoes and put on rubber boots and drove through the mud. And I mean, not just a little bit of mud, but up to her knees mud. It was great.
That's Krista Hauser, co-owner of Main Event Ladies Wear and Bridal Shop in Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan.
Good morning, Main Event.
She sold the bride that now mud-covered wedding dress.
That was their procession afterwards. They donned quads and left their ceremony and went through mud. But you know what? That was really them. And that was an aspect of their relationship that they showed their guests. And not everybody gets to see those intimate parts of a couple's relationship, but to actually see it and to see how much fun they were having doing it was great.
Now, I should be clear. Main Event is a very clean, beautiful, sophisticated shop. Every bride walks through the door dreaming of their own version of a fairy tale wedding.
We're all watching the same Say Yes to the Dress show. We're all reading the same bridal magazines. We're all reading the same bridal blogs. So we are all seeing what the designers offer. And we have girls that come in from all over the province and even Alberta and Manitoba that are here visiting or whatnot that come through and they say, your collection is so different. It's so unique. How do you guys do it? And it's well, for one, we buy what we like, not what our sales rep tells us to buy, because our sales rep will tell us that you need this dress, and this dress, and this dress. But she's going to tell every single account that she has across Canada that she needs those dresses.
Krista really knows her stuff when it comes to weddings, but that wasn't always the case. A few years back, when the store was just an idea, Krista admits she wasn't the wedding dress aficionado she is today.
I'd worn one once. And I tried on 5. When I got married, I was 21 years old and I went with my parents dress shopping. And we went to maybe 2 or 3 stores, but I really wasn't into it the way that I see the girls are into it now.
What finally got Krista interested in wedding dresses was event planning. She started doing that working from home, taking on whatever came along, including weddings.
It started off with just having a corner of our family room was where our computer was. It was our office area. And then it kind of took over our family room and then it moved into my dining room. And then it was partially in my basement and in the backseat of my vehicle.
The event planning business was growing. And at a certain point, keeping it at home just didn't make sense anymore.
I just needed some space where I wasn't having Dora the Explorer playing in the background while I was trying to discuss somebody's wedding details.
Krista knew that if she wanted to grow her business beyond the family room, she'd have to pick a focus. And she'd always loved weddings, but her choice was more pragmatic than that.
Well, with weddings, they're one of the most common events, right? And every 12 months, your clientele renews itself. So I just felt that there was a greater opportunity to reach out to more people.
So the idea for Main Event was born. A bridal shop that also offers wedding planning, plus everyday clothing to cover the wedding off-season. And of course, it would have to be in Moose Jaw.
I think I'm a 5th generation Moose Jawian, I guess is that what we call ourselves. I always tell my kids if they get in trouble, I'll probably know by the time they get home, just because it is such a close-knit community.
It's not necessarily the kind of place you'd expect a high-end boutique to flourish. A town of 30,000 people. So Krista wrote up a detailed business plan to see if she could make her vision work.
I pretty much proved to myself that this would have been a viable business in our community. Lots of the community was going to Regina, they were leaving the city to find what they were needing. It was something that I'd done with my girlfriends. Oh, we're getting married. Let's go shop in Regina. So I knew it was something that the product was needed here and the service was needed here, just how to do it. So then I did the business plan, and then it got to the point of like, great, got a business plan, got no money. And how do you go about doing this?
Money. Often one of the toughest parts of starting a new business.
It took literally a phone call to RBC and to Beverly, who does our personal banking. And I said, Beverly, I need $50,000. And she's like, for what? And I told her, and she's like, can I see your business plan? So I dropped off my business plan, and within an hour, she called me back and said, what an amazing business plan. We've never seen anything like that. We'd be happy to extend you a $50,000 line of credit.
Between the line of credit from RBC and a loan from the Provincial Community Futures Program, she had a modest budget. And she found the perfect space, too. Well, not quite perfect.
The only thing that the place had going for it was that it had a freshly redone ceiling. It was ugly. There was no ifs, ands, or buts. It smelled bad. It looked even worse.
The space is actually in a beautiful historic 1912 building, but you wouldn't have known it then. Decades of DIY decorating and weird renos didn't exactly scream upscale boutique.
Okay, so here's a photo of pretty much right where we're sitting looking back. And you can see that there was this goofy little mezzanine and stairway that kind of came down and separated, I guess, the height of the store. The unfortunate part of this little mezzanine, although it looks like it would have been a really great office, I'm only 5'4", and I had to go on my knees or be seated in order to move around up there.
Yeah, we moved in here, and it was a total disgrace. It was a full gut job.
That's Krista's husband, Jason.
When he saw this space and he saw my drawings of what I wanted to do, he told me I was nuts because he knew our budget. He said, I think his words were, he was not a magician.
But Jason does know a thing or two about construction, and he was determined to see Krista's vision through.
Had my day job, and this was my other job. I'd go to my day job, then come here and work here from maybe 6 at night till midnight every night, and weekends till midnight, and it was the only other thing. That's all I did for about 5 months straight.
Meanwhile, Krista was working on every other aspect of the business.
The physical part seemed exhausting, but I wasn't quite prepared for the mental part. And I had no idea what I was doing when it came to buying inventory. I could pick out 60 wedding dresses that I really liked and bridesmaid dresses. That part wasn't so hard. It was buying up front. How do I buy for a clientele that I don't even know who they are yet? It was tough.
And as anyone who's ever shopped for a wedding dress knows, they aren't cheap. So just imagine stocking an entire store with them.
So I think all done in total, I think I needed to have about $70,000 worth of inventory to make me look like I was full and in business.
And remember, all this time that they're spending money on inventory and renovations, the doors are still closed. They're not making any money. Krista and Jason were understandably on edge.
He was like, this is kind of scary. And I was like, yeah, I'm scared too, because, you got to pay it back, right? and you want to make it work. And there's just so much more than money involved in here. There's like a lot of hard work. There's, that dream of being self-employed. If you're not well received, there's a little bit of your pride that gets crushed along with that. So it was just one of those things like where the day that the doors opened, you're like, oh, I built it. I hope they come.
Coming up, the renos are done and the doors are open. Will they come? But first, the Sound of Small Business is brought to you by RBC Royal Bank. John Barth is an RBC small business sales manager in southern Saskatchewan.
In Moose Jaw, small business has a very different flavor than small business than, say, places like Toronto or Vancouver. We've signed up deals on the side of highways, in fields. I remember sitting on tractors doing laps with a whole pile of loan documents, but everything's GPS guided anyway, so the thing just kind of runs itself and you're doing a business deal right in the cab of a tractor.
Out in the field or in town, John works hard to fulfill his clients' needs. He remembers learning about Krista's plan for Main Event.
You know, normally I'm a little hesitant to get involved in some retail stores, but the passion sold itself. And I remember my account manager coming to me and passionately pleading because she felt that the passion that they had for running their business and the knowledge that they had about the industry that they were in would, you know, lead to success. The role in small business is one of the most rewarding roles, I think, in the bank. I like to tell my staff that we have more impact, or you get to have more impact on somebody's life than most other, you know, people in their lives, because you're intimately involved in helping them achieve their life dreams, their life goals.
For help starting your own small business, speak to a business specialist at your local RBC Royal Bank branch, or go to rbc.com/buildingbusiness today. So Krista and Jason have gone through the grueling process of renovating their retail space, but their work has paid off. The space is beautiful. They even won a Heritage Award from the city.
What is the best feature of the space is that it's backdropped by what would have been the original hotel hallway look. So each of our change rooms has what would have been an entranceway to one of the hotel rooms originally. So we brought down as much as we could for the heritage.
Yeah, it's great. Wow.
My great-grandmother was a seamstress here right on Main Street. I'm like a third-generation entrepreneur on this block in my family, and now I'm right here. So it just kind of felt like it was home for me.
It's in your blood.
Yeah, I guess.
Finally, Krista threw open the doors, and business was a little slow at first. So she took the time to get to know the inventory by trying on her 6th wedding dress ever, and her 7th, 8th, 9th.
I played a lot of dress up that first week to see, like, what do each one of these dresses do for a body? And by the time I was done, I was like, yep, I think I know what I'm doing.
And as Krista became the wedding wear expert she is today, business started to pick up. Krista was working hard to get people through the door. She was active on social media, and she held special events like a What Not to Wear evening at the store. And one promotion really aimed to put Moose Jaw and her store on the map. Moose Jaw Destination Weddings.
Maybe the bride's from Vancouver and the groom is from Toronto. They met in Ottawa, and to save their family a lot of travel, everybody's meeting in the middle, and it just so happened to be smack dab in Moose Jaw.
Yep, Krista's been successful in attracting those Toronto and Vancouver weddings to Moose Jaw. It turns out people really love having their wedding photos taken in the middle of a wheat field and taking advantage of everything else the town has to offer.
You're only limited by your frame of mind. And as an entrepreneur, if you want to be big, you got to think big.
You're giving Saskatchewan a good name.
We try to. You know, just don't come here from November to February just without a parka.
These kinds of ideas and promotions helped the store get busier and pick up momentum. But as Jason remembers, it wasn't all upside.
Well, she was a one-person show for the most part. All the days she was open, she was here. Nights she was worried, stressed out.
Krista tried hiring extra help, but quickly realized that wasn't a sustainable answer.
Well, I was into the business about 18 months, and I was losing my mind. I had an employee, I think it was on my 3rd one.
Part-time retail work is a bit of a revolving door. Just when a new employee was trained, they would leave. And even while they were around, they couldn't match Krista's knowledge and drive as an owner. I mean, not even close.
I took a weekend off to go to a hockey tournament with my family, and I think it was like a make or break, like either you come or like you're kicked out of the family. And I went away for that weekend, and I came back, and there was $32 worth of sales done that weekend while I was gone.
Krista figures that at the time, she could have made up to 100 times more than that on weekends when she was there herself. Something had to give.
The store was doing well, but personally, I wasn't. You have to swallow and be like, okay, I can't do this on my own. How are we gonna fix this? That's kind of a really hard realization to come to.
Krista started looking for a way out, and serendipity or luck gave her exactly what she needed.
I had a girlfriend in the store who was a real estate agent, and I said, like, do people sell businesses? Like, how is it done? And she was like, why are you thinking of selling? And I said, I feel like I'm drowning a little bit.
Now here's the unbelievably lucky part.
She's like, you know, there's this girl that wanted to buy this other clothing store that was for sale. She said, but she didn't want to do it on her own. And I said, oh? And she's like, yeah, her name's Amber. She's like, Amber Finiak, do you know her? And I'm like, never heard of her. So I sent her a Facebook message, and she's like, I'll come in and meet with you. And within an hour, we knew that we could work together. It was just like, it was that long lost sister, that long lost best friend that we just clicked.
Amber bought half the business, which was a massive relief for Krista. Now they each cover sales in the store 3 days a week and spend the rest of the time on all the other super important things that go into running and growing the business. Plus, someone's there to fill in during vacations and sick days.
Amber is so sick with the flu, and she feels bad that she's not here, but I don't think any of us want her anywhere around us anyway, because she's pretty germy this week.
Because they're a team now, Krista was able to cover the store while Amber recovered. Hi, Amber. It's JP.
Oh, hello. How are you?
Are you feeling better?
Yes, you betcha.
What if Krista had been incapacitated when she was the only one running the store?
That did happen to me one day. I had food poisoning, and I came into work. I knew I wasn't feeling well. Within a couple hours, I was like laying on the floor in the bridal room, like just dying. And it was like the first time I had to just close the store and said, due to unforeseen circumstances, we're closed.
Now, with Amber, it's sort of easier for life to happen.
And that's exactly it. Life can happen, and usually life doesn't happen to both of us at the exact same time, which is really good. Just Laurel, let me know when you're ready. The top. Okay. See, with all the beadwork and all the lace applique, you don't really need to add another belt or anything like that, because I think it would take away from the soft scoop neckline here. And also,
Main Event has been open for 5 years now. Not all businesses survive that long.
Not too many people, I'm sure, when I first opened the door, gave me more than 6 months. But at year 5, I'd have to say that, you know, Amber and I have more than what it takes to make this business work together. Together, we're kind of a mighty force to be reckoned with.
How did it feel on that day, like you made it 5 years?
I kind of forgot at first. And then it was in the calendar, and Amber's like, oh, it's happy anniversary. And I was like, oh, I felt like a bad spouse. Like,
Gotta run out and buy some flowers.
I brought in lunch.
We looked at each other with big smiles on our face and tears in our eyes and just gave each other a big hug, because there was no words that were ever going to do justice to what an accomplishment we both felt. And she said to me, here's to another 5 years. And it never faltered. I never blinked. I can't wait to sit here and do the same thing and in 10 years go, oh my gosh, it's been 10 years.
It's a huge milestone, but definitely not the last for Krista and Amber.
My life seems pretty fulfilled right now. You know, I have a great kids, a great husband, you know, a successful business with my very best friend. Like, I really kind of feel like greedy asking for much more, but we want to continue to grow. So, so it's that hungry, not greed, but hungry.
Now that we've heard the story of Main Event, let's take a closer look at what we could learn from Krista and Amber's experiences. I spoke with Melanie Lang, Director of the Center for Business and Social Entrepreneurship at the University of Guelph. Hi, Melanie.
Hi, JP.
One thing about Krista and Amber's business in particular, and the bridal business, is that it isn't really something where you get a lot of repeat customers.
Well, we'd hope not.
Hey, things happen. But with something like this, Krista said, you know, there's a new batch of brides every year. How does something like that affect how you approach the business and how it's marketed?
I was really glad that she recognized that and knowing that there was high turnover within her industry that she was looking at. And so when that happens, you need to always be out there in front of the market, reminding consumers that you are a player within that market. And people who pay for services or are wanting to invest in, say, their wedding, right? That's a huge life moment for them. And they're really looking to invest in a personal experience that they're going to share with their friends and family. The businesses that are involved in that are looking at it from an outcomes perspective, you know, like how many people are coming, how much food do we need to buy, you know, so it's very specific in terms of what the business metrics that they're using to evaluate. And I think for a successful business like what Krista is running right now is being able to match what business needs that she has and the outcomes that she has in order to retain and have longevity in her business, and matching that with the experiences that she knows her clients are wanting to see from her.
Right. It's less about how do I sell a lot of dresses. It's more how do I give this great experience to a lot of people.
Absolutely.
On that sort of marketing side of things, Krista noticed a need for this type of store in her market and incorporated concrete market research into her business plan. But I'm guessing that a lot of entrepreneurs with big ideas might have a tendency to gloss over the flaws in their plans or be unrealistic about the demand for what they want to sell. How can you kind of get a reality check and make sure you're not kidding yourself?
Well, the quick and dirty answer to that is you need to just talk with people. You really have to do a lot of footwork in this space. And when we work with our startups through our center and our incubator program, that is one of the biggest learning curves, is that we basically force them to get out there and to talk to potential customers. So when they're done our program, they've spoken with about 150 different people. And I've done that number of interviews. So customer discovery is a huge piece of it.
You got to pound the pavement.
You do. I know. That's exactly right.
Let's talk about employees. Krista struggled with this. Is that a common issue?
I think HR in any organization, big or small, I think this is an area that people struggle in. You know, retaining talent is a focus for a lot of businesses, because that is what's going to help your business scale. So I was very glad when I learned of her decision to bring on a business partner, because that dynamic, it changes the relationship, that working relationship from, you know, the employee employer, because there's equal investment, equal ownership in wanting to see the business succeed. Essentially, we're asking our employees to be brand ambassadors. I mean, they're out there, they're interacting with our clientele, and they're the future of any business. So it's really key that we have the right people involved in our business that have a shared lens, a shared view of what the business could potentially be. So it sounds like Amber was a great fit.
Yeah, no, definitely. Finally, I got to ask you, is there a Moose Jaw destination wedding in your future?
Well, not for me personally, but I look forward to hopefully maybe getting an invitation to attend a Moose Jaw destination wedding.
Well, thanks so much for taking the time, Melanie.
My pleasure.
Melanie Lang is the director of the Center for Business and Social Entrepreneurship at the University of Guelph. This has been The Sound of Small Business, brought to you by RBC Royal Bank. Search for The Sound of Small Business wherever you find podcasts, or visit rbc.com/buildingbusiness, where you can find advice and tips on how to start, manage, or grow your business. Thanks for listening. This podcast series is intended as general information only and is not to be relied upon as constituting legal or other professional advice.